starting the stream.
Yes. The
Oh,
whole
okay.
premise is that the ghost dances actually awakened the Manitou, which are basically Native American demons, and they've been warping and reshaping the Wild West in their dark and twisted image.
Oh, that is very interesting, but I am aware that stream has started, so I'll stay on topic,
That
because
was the
otherwise I will
perfect.
keep talking for hours.
That was the perfect like. The people who are watching are just like, and then Native American demons will twist your soul or whatever the hell you said, and so that if they don't know it's a game, then they're probably horrified.
Okay, you
uh,
think you laugh, but I was a part of a friend's stream, and I said unironically, I'm very glad the McKee were shot dead like the dogs they are.
yeah, I read that
Correct.
somewhere.
Lol. That is the correct
Native
opinion.
American demon. All right, I'm just gonna post it real quick there. I'm gonna post it in general too, just in case people want to watch. And then eventually, once it's done, once we're done with the game, I'll post it in the production section. But anyway, hello, welcome back to the first game and the first Infamous Chronicles game this year, and in a month. So that's a thing. Um, so today's episode is called Angels of the Deep, episode 8. Let's see. So what we can do something a little different than we usually do. We're going to basically start in the day on the 22nd of December, 2401. Then after some role play is done, we're gonna jump to January 3rd, 2402. Um, Peck, are you ready to recite your log?
Mm-hmm.
Go right ahead.
Personal log, Lieutenant Jonah Peck, stardate 7894.1. 3 weeks have passed since our encounter with the last Ross entity. The U.S. Legion has since arrived to Starbase 364, where Admiral Haybear will officiate the graduation ceremony of the fourth-year cadets who served aboard the Legion. I can't help but feel how appropriate it is to host the event here, at the edge of the Shackleton Expanse, the final frontier. Hopefully, I'll be able to have time to discuss my proposal with the admiral after the ceremony. While en route to Starbase 364, under the encouragement of Lieutenant Akaki Lafrite, I have resumed my medical studies, and I expect to be able to take final exams soon. Unfortunately, we are not alone here. It looks like a Dex warbird and a cavort bird of prey are also docked here. After the ceremony, the crew of the Legion has since been granted a week's shore leave. I hear the beaches are immaculate on the nearby ocean world of Zalda. Perhaps I'll spend my leave there.
So
And
that
log.
you read really fast. Just want to put that out there. But yeah, you guys are attending, and if anybody doesn't want to attend, well, too bad because you're pretty much ordered to by Admiral Haybear to attend the ceremony for the cadets. After all, they did serve under you guys for a little while, and now they're graduating early. As you can see, there's Merc. Even though the player cannot be here, I am still gonna make his character an ensign. Um, these are not all the cadets, the ones that you see. There are others. Those are just all the ones that I made character sheets for. So those are the ones that I'm putting there. If you cannot see the map of Narendra Station, aka Starbase 364, please let me know. But everyone should be on that page. Um, if you guys want to move your we'll get to that. If you guys want to move your tokens to wherever you want your characters to be, then you may. If you cannot move tokens, because sometimes Roll20 does that, let me know and I will move your tokens for you. um, while you do that, unless you interrupt me, which you're free to do, I am going to go ahead and have Admiral Haybear officiate the ceremony. You guys have been standing there for probably close to an hour at this point, as things like that are to happen in the military. A lot of standing around and waiting to do nothing. But then, Admiral Haber exits an office and stands there at attention. All the cadets are at attention. Pretty much everyone's at attention. There is a Marine honor guard, minus the missing Marines. Let me grab a few Marines because I did not. Actually, I do have two here. We'll just assume that these two are the honor guard. There's more than just those two there, obviously, but they're there. Um, and she gives a little speech that I don't feel like doing right now because I didn't have time to write it. and she basically pins the ensign rank on everybody, or on, the cadets. Question for you guys: did Peck? Um, did you send your request to Edgeford so that he could look at it by any chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Edgeford, did you get that?
I'm just looking at the bit about Sec is the obvious discrepancy. I'm not entirely sure quite what's being referred to here. I may have missed something. If so, my apologies.
Okay, well, if Peck didn't send you a private message, then it, or if she did and then it didn't get to you, then that's a different issue. But so I think Peck froze. I don't hear anything, but
yeah, I'm sure I got something and just didn't understand it.
Basically, we'll get to that after the ceremony because it's not super relevant to the ceremony right now. However, if Captain Osprey would like to pin some ranks on some cadets, then he's more than welcome to. It's completely up to him. It's just the admiral is kind of the one who's officiating it and making it official and all that good stuff. So she kind of hands you some of the ensign ranks and lets you have fun with.
Absolutely, if the admiral is happy for that to happen, then Osprey will volunteer to pin the ranks on his ensigns, the ones from the Legion.
Well, yeah, all of these. Well, I would say most of them are from the Legion. There are a few who were stationed on the starbase, but like not a lot, like 10, because it's a starbase, like, and it's kind of the perimeter of Federation space, so they don't want a whole bunch of cadets out here in the middle of nowhere to get hurt or whatever. So they kind of keep them on starships within Federation space because it's safer apparently. But yeah, you put them on yours, your cadets. And after that, after the ceremony, is there anything that anybody wants to do right after the ceremony, as far as maybe congratulating the cadets, talking with the cadets, milling about, or anything like that?
Basically, Jonah gives like a knowing look to now Ensign is it, and she says, "Ensign, congratulations."
He just grins from ear to ear, very very happy, and nods and says, "Thank you, thank you. I don't know where they're gonna station me, but wherever it is, I'm gonna do my 6 weeks of command school, and then I'm gonna be a lieutenant. I look forward to that. I'm kind of nervous, not gonna lie, but I still look forward to it, and I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of fun."
And she kind of puts like a knowing, like she kind of smiles knowingly, and she says, "I completely understand. They're having me go through a remedial medical school."
Yeah, I did hear, well, I was there, but I also heard that the Marine squad that was sent out to rescue Dr. Santosi and the others was 3 weeks ago, and they haven't returned. I hope Cadet Hampton is okay. I wonder if they'll make her go through the last 3 weeks, or if when she gets back, or if they'll actually just give her the ensign rank.
Didn't Harry Kim get a field promotion to lieutenant?
Are you asking me in character or out of character?
Out of character. I mean, well, in character.
I have no idea.
I know he got
like, this is
promoted aboard ship. Yeah.
I don't know. My knowledge of Voyager ends at Endgame. I don't know anything. Any of the other lore.
I'm just making a joke. Like, Harry should have just gotten a field promotion to commander at some point.
Yeah, no. I'm still in the camp of, I think his time as an ensign was perfectly fine. Maybe a couple years, but 5 years is pretty standard for ensigns that are good ensigns, and I think he was mediocre. But anyway, any other congratulatory remarks or conversations or roleplay that anyone wants to have while you guys are at this? It's kind of like the after party of the ceremony. People are milling about. There is a restaurant like super close to you guys, so some of the cadets have went over and started just talking and drinking and all that good stuff. So if anyone wants to do anything like that, you're more than welcome to.
Oh no, Osprey will spend a few moments in the sort of social circle with the cadets, giving them words of advice, words of encouragement, words of congratulation, and then a goodbye, so they can have a bit of fun without a captain looking over their shoulder.
Make a presence command roll, difficulty 0. I'm gonna see if I can get y'all some momentum, because
okay,
that is because that could definitely, if there's a complication, that might go the opposite way.
Why did you have to jinx it, man? Yes, a focus does apply. 1.
Heyo.
Nice. So you get a momentum. Whoever's keeping track of momentum, please do that. Yeah, they're like really. I think they're more happy about being ensigns. They don't really notice that you're like hovering or anything like that. They kind of just look at you like as a fellow officer at this point. So, yeah, but they do notice, like when you leave, they're like, oh yeah, he's just leaving, so we can have a drink in peace, and so all that is good. Is there anything else anybody wants to do or role play or have a chat about with the NPCs?
Well, I kind of look at the captain kind of like a little bit like more seriously, like, so, have you talked to the Admiral about my proposal?
I've noted your proposal and have yet to mention it to the Admiral, but I'm happy to endorse it. We can go over and do it now if it would be, if it would fit in with your schedule.
Okay. Now that Peck is back, or do you remember getting that message, Edgeford, or no? Or are you still?
So yeah, I have found it.
Okay.
It wasn't quite where I thought it was, but I have found it, read it, and I've sent Peck a brief message going, yes, he endorses this plan.
Awesome. So do I, as the evil GM. I mean, no, everything's gonna turn out fine. Okay. So yeah, in fact, as you guys turn to look at Admiral Haybear, who is kind of heading towards her office, she stands at she doesn't stand at attention. She stands at parade rest and says, "Cadets, officers, enlisted men and women, your shore leave begins now. Don't do anything stupid and don't do anything I would do." And then she just heads to her office and gestures for you to follow. And then she gestures for Commander Zed to follow. She doesn't particularly notice Lieutenant Peck. I mean, she notices that you're standing there, but she doesn't look to you for any reason. It's up to you if you want to continue to try to talk to her about that particular thing, but you get a feeling that she's taking you into the office for a specific reason.
Okay.
Peck, being kind of the authoritarian and realizing the ranking here, decides to kindly just lean back for the good moment.
I'm sure the captain will, put in that word for you so that, you don't have to do it yourself. I mean, there is a chain of command after all. So, what about Commander Zed? Does he fall in line and follow the Admiral?
Yep, he does. He falls in line and follows the Admiral. He says, "Good day to you, Chief."
Alright, so you guys head into the Admiral's office. At the back of the Admiral's office, there is a door that slides open, and you go down kind of a narrow hallway, a narrow corridor. This corridor looks like it's only slightly more wide than a Jeffrey's tube, which is weird.
Okay. As we were approaching on the Sovereign, on our Sovereign class, does it look as though this place has had, shall we say, ad hoc expansions and extensions put onto it that would explain this slightly strange architecture, or does it look much like it had was first built?
So it pretty much looks like a standard border outpost for Starfleet. There are Klingon affectations here and there because back in the day the Klingons did help, build it. But it's pretty much standard Starfleet. This corridor that you guys are going through, although it's only slightly wider than Jeffrey's tube, it only goes maybe 10 feet before it comes to another door, and that door opens and you enter this room. Let me pull you in here. There you go. And she walks over. You guys come through here. She walks over and takes a seat at a... actually, you know what? She's going to sit at... no, she's sitting at the table. She sits at the table. It looks like a dinner table, like a traditional dinner table that a captain might... Like, Captain Osprey and even Commander Zed would notice that it's pretty much a standard dinner table that a captain would have in, like, his captain's dining room or something like that. She says, "Please, take a seat."
Thank you, Admiral. And then, yeah. Osprey will sit at the Admiral's right.
Okay. So, I'm going to jump to the base. Peck, are you hanging around, or are you getting on the next transport to Zelda for your leave?
Zelda, she's packed, exceptionally, large amounts of space sunscreen and, already has, the white dollop on her nose.
Okay. So she's heading to the nearest airlock then. Gotcha. What about Carr? What's Carr up to?
He's getting some coffee. The restaurant didn't have any, so he's trying his luck at the Replomat.
Yep, there is a Replomat. There's probably a couple, actually, yeah. And by the way, I just, for, to let everyone know, I stole this map from somewhere online, and I did not make it, so don't credit me with it. But, yeah, you find a Replomat. It's got coffee. Is anyone else who's not already occupied or trying to get off the station as quickly as possible going to also go to the Replomat? Or are you guys doing different things? I guess the only person I'm really asking is Nostra and Tali, because you two are the only ones left.
Yeah, I'll definitely go to the Replomat.
Okay. As a player GM thing, would you also want Peck there as well?
No, this is not that important. This is just to give Neelan and Carr an opportunity for any roleplay, conversation that they want to have regarding whatever the hell they want to talk about, stuff like that.
Understood.
If there is a specific NPC that Carr or Neelan would like in there with them to have a conversation with, maybe they're curious where the frickin' Zaronite counselor came from or something like that, then feel free to let me know and I will put them in there. But other than that, this is just purely for roleplay. So yeah, Neelan, you enter, you see Carr, just the chief engineer, grabbing a cup of coffee out of the replicator.
So I'm going to go up to the replicator that she was just using. Hey, Carr, how's it going?
Lieutenant Neelan. Now that I've got some decent coffee, it's going pretty well.
Good. I'm about to have a cup of Joe, too. You mind if I join you?
Not at all.
So, do you ever think that we're going to get our teammates back from that mission? It's been about 3 weeks now, and I'm kind of concerned.
Well, whenever Romulans are involved, it seems like it always... They seem to really like uncertainty.
Yeah, I agree with that notion full-heartedly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just an engineer. As far as that goes, and truthfully, I've been more focused on more personal complications. And he kind of gestured. He kind of tilts his head, but he doesn't have a free hand to point at his ears.
I understand.
So, what are your plans for shore leave?
Well, actually, I was gonna probably stay on the station here and see what I can get my hands on if there's any new technologies that are about. I'm always interested in the sciences, so that's probably what I'm going to be doing.
I see.
How about yourself?
I haven't really decided yet. I mean, it's been a while since I've been, anywhere that's not a starship, but I suppose that comes with being an engineer, too. It's kind of part of the job.
Oh, yeah.
But, I've got I've got good engineers working under me. I suppose I could leave the Legion for a time and come back, and hopefully nothing would go wrong. He's kind of like saying that, internally, he's like, I hope I didn't just jinx anything by saying that. No, but because I am out of player, I imagine it's been pretty uneventful for the last couple weeks. So
yeah, you've been spending pretty much the whole.
I suppose in one of something else that Carr would be interested in doing is he'll mention Ensign Variel, and just he might. Yeah, one thing I would like to do, Lieutenant, is see if there's any update on Ensign Variel. It's been several weeks now.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where my concerns lie. I mean, they're good friends, good teammates, and we get along pretty well. It's just it's concerning for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose just like our teammates at the Romulan border, we'll just have to wait and see.
True.
So back at the lounge, you guys have sat down, and Admiral Haybear looks at you guys, and she said, the two of you, Commander Zed and Captain Osprey, and she says, let's discuss, she looks to Osprey especially, she says, what I think you're heading over to me to talk about, and that's your potentially new Chief Medical Officer. We frankly don't have the authority to go into Romulan space and get them. They have more or less been confirmed to be captured, both sets of individuals. All we can hope for now is that the Praetor, who has retaken the Romulan Republic, has sent someone to negotiate for their return. Hopefully that Romulan ship that just arrived a couple hours ago is carrying that person. What do you have to say about it? She looks to Captain Osprey.
Before I answer that question, I'm assuming this Admiral is on Admiral Lane's green list of people who are to know about the secret orders, or is this somebody who is not on the green list?
It's been a month. You're going to have to remind me what the list is for again.
So essentially, Admiral Lane made it very clear through his subordinate, made it very clear that unless you are whitelisted, you're not allowed. They're not allowed to know about the mission. They're not allowed to know about the order to kill anyone who comes over the border. They're not allowed to know about etc. etc.
This is my fault because we handled that last game and you weren't here. I should have told you. So what happened with your character was you actually went over to Commodore Otreda's ship to have a meeting. And then Commander Zed took the Legion to go do like an exploration mission, and basically because the Romulan territories had more or less been completely retaken by the Praetor, the whole patrolling the border and all that stuff is done now. Like, you guys only did that for like a week before everything was kind of settled, so yeah, you don't really have to worry about that right now. Now, as far as what she's cleared to know, she is a. Let me actually check what. It depends on situation, of course. But as long as you're not giving away like sensitive information, she's probably clear to know whatever you want to tell her.
All right. So Captain Osprey will nod. And indeed, Admiral, I can only hope that one of the people aboard those ships is here for that purpose. Though I imagine some element of our diplomatic arm would already be aware if that were the case. Those are not the sort of negotiations that tend to be conducted by surprise, but they can be conducted in secret. If they are here to discuss that sort of affair, I am very happy to be as involved as Starfleet would like in the conduct of those negotiations. If, however, I am to do that, then the Romulans are not going to give us something for nothing. And so I need to be aware what Starfleet is willing to put on the table.
She nods. Understandable. And let me make it clear, I only know that a diplomat has come to this station from both the Klingon side and the Romulan side. I'm not 100% sure about what they want to discuss, but considering they reached out to each other and then to the Federation to make this happen, I'm assuming it's something big, probably even bigger than the potential rescue or return of your people, with all due respect.
I understand.
Maybe
Please carry on, Mike.
Lasgo pipes up. Maybe a treaty. 2 or 3 factions.
That would be nice. Now that Praetor Denatra has retaken the government of the Romulan Republic, it seems very likely that she and the Senate will, at the very least, have a non-aggression pact with us, the Federation, in their potentially, well, not potentially, inevitable conflict with the infamous Armada. I doubt that simply absorbing Empress Sila's meager fleet into his Armada would satisfy his desire for blood once he realized that the Romulans would not join him, as the Dominion and the Breen have. That being said, let us turn from that discussion back to the other one about the medical officer, the chief medical officer. Lieutenant Wren is your ship's surgeon, and she is more than adequate to fill in as chief medical officer. However, if there's, again, someone else in mind, then I am all ears.
I'm just going to take a step back here, because I can see from the main character list that Lieutenant Jonah Peck is there as medical. So is that the sort of understanding that will be occurring and that'll be a transfer over?
Yeah, pretty much. Because Rob left,
Yep.
I kind of figured it would make sense, instead of having 2 science officers, to just have one of them kind of transfer over to medical. That's kind of the point there.
That makes
Also
complete
makes sense with my character's backstory of sacrificing to get joined.
Yeah.
Okay. So Osprey will nod and say, "Surgeon is a most able medical officer. However, I would consider rather the transfer of Lieutenant Peck that position. She is relatively new in post, but is impressed with her ability thus far, and has recently brought an innovative suggestion to my attention, which I aim to discuss with you separately. The mere fact that she showed that initiative is impressive."
She nods, of course. Sorry, just replying to a message. She has, as far as the records and reports are concerned, she has been taking an out of character. This is the equivalent of like an online course, but she has been receiving training from both the ship surgeon, the medical staff, as well as actual training, training materials and software on the Legion and on the Starbase for the last 3 weeks. Obviously, to have full medical training, that would take 2 years. However, I think if we could get her into perhaps a physician's assistant position, and then within the next few weeks slowly train her a bit more until eventually she can become the chief medical officer, I would have no problem with that.
Right.
As long as she's doing the work and doing the training, then it's pretty much inevitable for that elevation to occur.
Well, if the Admiral suggests that, Osprey will absolutely go along with that suggestion.
And that is when you guys hear a door chime. Heber looks over and says, "Come in." And through a different door, not that one, actually through like some side door that's not going through her. Actually, we're going to say the side door that you guys came through is this one, because that makes more sense. And this one is like from an actual corridor. A Klingon and a Romulan enter. Let me grab their pictures. Klingon looks at first glance to be a typical Klingon warrior. He's got like an eye patch. Do either of you think that you would have maybe a focus or maybe even just a passing understanding of Klingon rank, or is it completely Greek to you guys?
I'm just quickly looking through Procyon values. Not like, there's all sorts of stuff that means he could learn about it very quickly, such as foci in investigation and diplomacy.
Yeah. Plus, he was a chief security officer. I imagine you'd have to kind of know the ranks of like your allies or other species. At least in the Vegas. I will say, although you don't know what level of flag officer he is a general. And he walks in, looks around, and just gruffly kind of walks over to the table. He doesn't sit yet, and he says, "I am General Shamok." And the other is a Romulan female. She kind of has an unorthodox hairstyle for most Romulans. She walks in with her admiral's bars on her shoulders, and she, unlike the Klingon, kind of seems, at least from just looking at her, depending on how you're looking at her, if you're just looking over your shoulder at her, she would seem to be kind of more meek than the Klingon. However, if you guys want to make an insight command check, difficulty, I'll say difficulty 0, give you guys some momentum, then maybe you can determine something a bit different based on her attitude, just the way she moves and shifts, and her eyes dart from each individual person for a brief second before returning kind of to some random location in the room. Ooh. Oh.
Ooh.
Well, I did.
A 2 and a complication.
Well, that's an 18 though.
Okay,
so.
cool. Right. Yeah, I do apologize. I'll reset the range.
So you guys are up to 3 momentum, so whoever's keeping track of that. And yeah, she's definitely former Tal Shiar, if not current Tal Shiar. However, you see her uniform is military. So regardless of what her training is, she is an admiral in the Romulan Republic Navy, at least as far as her uniform goes. But she enters and kind of she doesn't say anything until the Klingon finally finishes his statement, and then, the admiral gestures for him to sit down. He sits down with kind of like a grunt and he kind of just falls into the chair, really. She walks over and says, "I am Admiral s5e08. I am the commander of the Warbird," looking up the Warbird. Please tell me I have it here somewhere. It's probably in ships. Ivumo. And of course the admiral gestures for her to sit down, and she does. The admiral looks to Osprey and Zed and says, she's saying this to the Romulan and the Klingon, but she's looking to you to kind of gauge your reaction. She says, "We got message that the two of you wanted to discuss some kind of diplomatic or negotiation strategy. If you could go ahead and make your claims." And she gets up and kind of goes into like another room, and you hear some Admiral Haber goes into the other room, and you hear some banging and some light metal. It almost sounds like she's either cleaning dishes or making food, or you're at a dinner table, so it's probably the latter, but she's definitely she's still within earshot. So the Klingon boastfully says, "Yes, Admiral, we are here because the Klingon Free State, we must admit, after the Pact War, is not doing too well. We are only surprised that the infamous Allegiance has not come for us. He has made many demands, and he has wanted diplomacy for some time with us, trade and the like, but he has never attacked us, and we do not understand why. But we would like to potentially join this galactic alliance that you have, even if the Romulans are involved." He kind of looks over and sneers at the Romulan. And Admiral s5e08 just nods her head once slowly and says, "We too wish to form an alliance." And she looks over to Zed and Osprey. What are your guys' reactions to what they're saying?
At first, Osprey's reaction is going to be sort of very poker-faced, very, shall we say, understated, and he's almost going to hold like an uncomfortable silence for 3 seconds to see if any of them say anything else or have any follow-ups. And yeah, the power of the uncomfortable silence. If they say nothing, after those 3 seconds, he does have a statement. I just want to make sure they don't say anything in those 3 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. They do not say anything.
Okay. In that case, we'll say, well, General, Admiral, this is very encouraging news to hear from you both, and I am also gratified that both come here at the same time and are discussing these matters together in this room. It's laudable. However, and perhaps this is the cynic in me, but this seems too ideal on the face of it. What are your terms?
We only have 2. The Admiral speaks up, which you guys can see the Klingon is about to like make some boisterous statement or demand or something, and she kind of interjects quietly and she says, "We have only 2. 1, we wish for an alliance against the infamous allegiance, your assistance, without wavering. The other is protection at the Bassin Rift." She kind of gives you a slight smirk, Osprey, and she says, "I believe you know why."
Osprey says and does nothing, but it's the I know you know I know you know
Yep.
you know I know kind of affair.
Yeah.
And he kind of feels a complete, to say kinship with the Romulan would be wrong, but a sort of
Right.
professional respect because they've had similar career paths, and
Yep.
he knows.
Mhm.
He knows what she is.
And you got a feeling that she also knows.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the Klingon can't help himself, and he says, "Ha, you ask for too little. We would like our old territory back. That path between the main Federation space into the Narendra section is too wide, and we would like it back." Do you say anything, either one of you?
Glasgow is actually thinking it is being written on a data pad, like on what he recalls of his old treaty, to actually show Osprey.
So, like, show the similarities
Would
between
actually
the universe that you came from as far as the treaty goes and the treaty that could potentially happen here.
yeah.
Okay.
So he's writing it all down and give it. You just see Glasgow typing it all down. So typing something down, typing something down over, and he hands you the data pad. He goes, "This could be useful."
Sakima
he'll look at the database.
Sakima is very interested in what you just did. However, the Klingon thinks it's a waste of time and just kind of folds his arms over his chest and huffs. So yeah, go ahead, Osprey.
So what are the differences or similarities that you have noted on the pad?
So basically, he's written down some of the similarities where it can be useful for Federation ships to actually have cloaking devices and actually have no treaty. Plus on the treaty there was he's actually pointing out that there can be a good idea of, if you're in Federation space, Klingon space, or Romulan space, you cannot use your cloaking device in their space.
Well, you can only use it in your own space or unexplored space. You can't use it in the other.
Use any other factions' space.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And just let me just quickly run down the alliance bit from the other universe also. So when this came about, this was in like 2380, so this was way in the past in the other universe. But it also, the 3 major powers were the Federation, the Klingons, and the Romulans, and like the Cardassians and the Ferengi and other species were kind of like ancillary, temporary members that helped out once in a while. But like those 3 powers were basically ran the Alpha and Beta Quadrant. Like they were the reason why the infamous allegiance, or the infamous domain as it was known there, did not get as far in as they wanted to get. So basically, I think what Zed is trying to point out is if we can get it to this level, because the actual diplomacy that happened that created this alliance happened between presidents and senators. Like, it didn't happen between captains and admirals. But basically,
Yeah.
Zed, if we can get it to this level, like, we have a good chance of surviving. Especially since now the Infamous Legion has the Dominion, the Breen, and several other species. Like, this is pretty much like a pivotal point.
Yep.
And
Osprey will
he would have
carry on.
and he would put into a write down. We plus we need to make sure we scan everyone just in case a clone actually gets in to a negotiation or something like that.
Okay, that makes complete sense. And question for the GM: the territory that the Klingon demanded, is that currently Federation-controlled territory, or is it neutral territory?
It is Federation control. I'll take you back to the map so I can show you. So now I have to scroll a lot because my screen is way smaller. But if you scroll over to where you see where basically where it says Romulan space, Federation space, new Klingon border. Basically, that new Klingon border is this is basically all Federation space here. There is other pockets, like, because obviously the map doesn't go all the way down, but there is other pockets, like way down at the bottom, where the Federation has basically taken over, or other species, and they're basically saying, look, we want our territory to look like it did before the Pact War, which was, if I remember correctly, 10 years ago or something like that. Where they basically became broken down into houses and clans and small fleets instead of like a big empire. So like they're no longer an empire; they're the Klingon Free State, because they just recently got their independence back. But yeah, basically they just want their old territory back.
Okay. Well, Captain Osprey will say, well, again, I am encouraged that everyone is here, and whilst certain points of these negotiations are going to require a lot further discussion, I nonetheless think that we can be generally agreed on the overall objective. But before we continue, and I must apologise for any rudeness, but I would ask that we all, and I will join you in this, undergo extra scans and biological sample taking to ensure that none of us are clones in disguise or other agents. I think it would be folly not to have a degree or even an abundance of caution, given the mettle of our foe.
I agree, says Admiral Sakima. And that's kind of when Admiral Haybear walks out with like a big tray of food and sets it down. Surprisingly enough, you do see some gawk. And the Klingon just devours it, of course. But yeah, basically, Admiral Sakima nods and says, yes, however, I do not believe that is our only threat. Clones and changelings. I believe our greatest threat is that of the brain nanite that they can use to control people.
Yes, Admiral, but the problem is a clone can actually have that nanite in them, and the Infamous can actually look through that clone.
Yes, but he could do that with anybody with a nanite.
Do you have a means of detecting this nanite?
Unfortunately, no. It is way too small. She looks over to Zed and says, she actually just cocks her head as she looks at Zed, because she kind of heard him about to say yeah, so she's kind of like wondering how.
Hey guys, I can actually remodify some of the actual emitters to actually pick up on that. But there is a way we can actually detect clones in that.
Very interesting. The Admiral Sakima says, she says, we have not been able to detect clones or nanites yet. Clearly, your intelligence gathering is greater than even the Romulan Tal Shiar. And she kind of chuckles slightly.
Osprey will pick up on that, and he'll have a slight chuckle and say, well, only greater than what the Tal Shiar lets us think.
She chuckles as well.
Yeah.
He'll have...
Additionally, I do not want to belabor or obfuscate the points. Everything that I have said regarding what we demand as far as protection and alliance is true. However, we are also going to, as a show of good faith, conduct a prisoner exchange at Starbase 233 within the week. Most of your agents, she kind of says with like a it's an air of disappointment almost, like she's kind of mad they got caught, but she's like, most of your agents are fine. A few of them, the Remans and the Tal Shiar, did a number on them before we could get to them, but most of them are safe, and we will be able to send them to Starbase 233. Of course, Starbase 233 will send us some Reman terrorists and some Tal Shiar spies in exchange. And she kind of looks to Osprey and said, awaiting your response or your reaction.
That seems reasonable. Say that 2 people had numbers done on them. Are they injured or dead?
Some of them may wish to be both. Others had their minds broken. They will never be the same. I do not know the details. I am only a messenger. Suffice it to say that there are a couple that are dead. I do not know who they are.
I see. We will doubtless obtain that information from prisoners that are exchanged. The Reman terrorists, do you have a list of names?
That has already been sent to Starbase 233's commanding officer. That is not why we are here. We are here merely to establish our... I'm trying to think of the right word out of character. Establish our... what's that word? Intent regarding the alliance. In addition to this alliance, we wish to... She looks over to the Klingon as she says this. She says, the 3 of us, the Federation, the Klingon Free State, and the Romulan Republic, wish to explore the Shackleton Expanse together.
Are you proposing a 3-ship joint exercise?
I am. I believe it is. It only makes sense that your ship provide the exploratory and scientific aspect. The Klingons provide the military might, and the Romulans provide the reconnaissance and intelligence gathering.
Osprey nods and says, that sounds like a laudable idea. I would be grateful to talk with either the both of you, if you were to be the commanders, or the commanders that you appoint to command those ships, and liaise on the details, group formations, and so forth. That would be most welcome. As for the intent to enter negotiations, I, of course, do not have the power to diplomatically bind the entirety of the Federation, but I will be happy to recommend negotiations continue at a more official level along these lines, and I'll be happy to facilitate or conduct those negotiations where asked to do so. There are some points that are going to definitely require further discussion. Looking at the Klingon when he says that, because no, he's not getting the territory. But, Osprey's not going to nail that home right now. There will be further points that must be discussed, and I'm happy to do so now, if that is agreeable to you both. But certainly recommending this heartily to Starfleet and the Federation.
Admiral Haber lifts her hand. She says, just one moment, Captain.
Of course.
And she pulls up a small data pad and reads it. You didn't see her bring it in. She must have brought it in with the tray earlier. And then she turns it off and sets it down, on the table. And she says, "Have any of you heard of the Egregoi?"
Out of character, have we heard of the Egregoi?
Have you read the timeline? If not, then no.
Yeah. I did a long time ago.
Short.
But yeah.
A short thing is they're basically Q level beings that kind of recruited, like, you know, there was a first contact, and then they kind of recruited some of Starfleet's actual, like, kind of did like a foreign exchange program, but with Starfleet in their military.
Right.
You have never heard from these Starfleet officers since they, you know, left. No messages came out of their space. They have never returned in years for, like, shore leave or anything. It's like they're gone or dead or whatever.
And I'm guessing we never heard from the Agrigoi either.
No. And occasionally you hear stuff from them, like, you know, they might send a message saying, you know, found a infamous Allegiance ship over there, you might want to, you know, check it out. Like, they've been helpful in certain aspects. It's clear that they want, like, a limited alliance, but they're not, like, they're not as bad as the Q when it comes to, like, oh, your lower life forms, but they are kind of like, you know, if you're all decimated, it's not that big a deal to us. So that they help you out a little bit, but they're not, like, super big on it. They like to think that they're the parents and they're doing everything for their kids, and you guys are their kids. But basically, yeah, when you guys go into their space to look for them, you never find anything. Or in the case of during the Pact War, when the infamous Allegiance and some others went into their space, they were never heard from again.
Say Osprey will just say, only very limited intelligence available. Gestures to the whole table, and I'm sure it's available to us all.
Well, Admiral Haybear says, apparently they too will be visiting the starbase. However, that will be in about a week. They want to discuss a more permanent and solid alliance with the Federation against the infamous Allegiance, which to me is kind of strange, considering, as far as I know, the infamous Allegiance isn't that much of a threat to them, but who knows? Either way. Yep, go ahead.
Glasgow goes, they can be a threat to him.
How's that, Commander?
Osprey will interject.
I know.
I'm so sorry, Mac, but Osprey will interject and say, I'm sure this is something can be discussed in some detail, but only after the checks that I previously described have been carried out. Because otherwise, if either of these two people are spies, they're about to get a whole dump load of information.
So, first of all, two things. One, I want to make it simple because I don't want it to take, like, the whole session. But on the other hand, I don't want it to be too easy. So I'll go ahead and tell you that it's going to be impossible to detect a nanite. At this stage, like, even if you had all the equipment, getting it all put together and figuring out the right frequency and all that good stuff, like, it's still, like, the nanite could change its frequency. Like, you're just not gonna. I mean, the nanite is part non-corporeal. You're just not gonna do it without major, like, spending weeks and weeks and weeks in the science lab. But as far as detecting clones, that's just a slight modification of a tricorder and then a scan. So I'll say control engineering. Mac, you can do that with a tricorder. Difficulty, I would say, what's that?
I can do that.
Okay. Difficulty
control.
1. Difficulty 1. Control engineering, difficulty 1.
Yep.
And then just go ahead and roll it and let me know what you get. And this is just to make sure that the tricorder is tuned to actually detect clones, because they're genetically similar. The only reason why clones look different than humans, or, you know, the original from scans, is by, like, degradation of the genes and stuff like that. So you're gonna have to.
Yeah. Because I'm working with I do right tool for the job. Trying.
Sure. What's that do?
Yeah. Engineers are trained to identify and use it. Do this.
Josie, what do you mean she dropped from the program? Can you specify what you're talking about? Because I don't know what you mean. As far as I know, she was joined, so I don't know how she's dropped from it. Engineers are trained to identify and use appropriate tools whenever they are working
That psych out test that they give some initiates to see if they're up to snuff. I mentioned it like a week or two ago. They're like, yeah, you were dropped from the program, and they just wait to see how the fuck they react.
Oh, it's a lie. Right, okay, yeah.
It's okay if it's not.
Well, I'm doing like 4 things at once right now, so some of y'all are gonna have to wait a second.
Yeah.
I should have waited until tomorrow for this one.
Opportunity cost. What is... You acquire an engineering tool with... Oh, okay, so... Basically, you have to spend a momentum to get the tricorder. The tool grants an advantage which normally costs 2 momentum. So basically, for an advantage, you just spend 1 momentum. If it did not so originally, or increases the advantage it provides by 1 step. Okay, so how about this? Spend a momentum, and then you don't... I'm just going to say you don't even have to roll to configure the tricorder. I'll just let you roll the reason science. Someone's going to have to roll reason science, though.
Yeah.
Because that talent looks just too complicated to me. I mean, I understand what it's saying.
Yeah.
There's too many steps that I don't feel like going through. As for...
Yeah, I can roll reason science.
Yep, reason science difficulty. Difficulty's gonna be 3.
Okay.
Alright, so let me try to read. Do you want... She dropped the program.
Buy 2 dice with...
Since
2...
Since this is being done on Osprey's suggestion, does it count as him directing Lasco Z to do that, meaning he gets an assist dice?
Yeah, if you want to roll presence and command, then you can basically kind of be like standing over Zed's shoulder, because Zed's not a scientist, he's an engineer, so you're kind of like
fantastic. I'll do that, and then I'll activate the ability of one of my awards that I purchased with reputation points, which says that once per mission or something along those lines, when while using a direct, you may treat your roll as though you rolled a natural 1, so 2 automatic successes.
Nice. Okay. All right.
Done.
And basically, I am gonna use a determination.
You already have 2 successes. Just want to point that out. You already have 2 successes. The difficulty is 3. You can use it if you want, but I don't recommend it. Like, usually I'll recommend it. This time I don't. Because you just need 1 more success.
Okay, I'll roll.
What you might want to do, though, is buy some dice with momentum, because... Oh, never mind. Oh, you do have a 4 in science, so I think you were an ops officer, that's why. That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got your 3 successes. Nobody in this room is a clone. Now, as far as what Josie was saying, I still have to try to understand what the heck you're talking about. Because I know what you're talking about, the drop from the program thing. I just don't know what it has to do with anything right now.
None. I was just doing some record keeping while it's here.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, my brain... I wish I was like the pilot on Farscape, so I could like multitask and do a bunch of things at once and just remember everything, but like, yeah, it's really not easy for me, so please be patient. Alright, so
hey guys, everything's clear.
Okay, so everyone knows that there's no infamous... I mean, just so, once again, just clarifying, you don't have to be a clone to be working for the Infamous Allegiance. You could literally just be working for the Infamous Allegiance, but they're not clones. You will not be able to detect nanites.
Yeah. And would I be correct in assuming that people would not have been allowed to get into this level of diplomatic talk without already having gone through 1,000,001 background checks?
Yeah, especially in the case of the Romulan.
Yeah. All right. No.
Yeah.
I will lean back and say thank you. Thank you, Commander. Please carry on.
Yes, there is a way you can... Infamous will find a way to actually control it, even gods themselves. That's why, as someone of their ability, even Q ability,
I see.
They can easily be corrupted to work for the enemy side, even as well.
Admiral Haybear says, "Well, unfortunately, the mission that I have assigned for you in the Shackleton Expanse is going to have you working that mission while the diplomacy with the Egregores is undergoing. However, she looks to the two of you. She says, if one of you would like to remain, or both, depending, you both probably can't stay here, but if one of you would like to remain here for the diplomatic talks with the Egregore, by the way, Admiral Sakima and General Shumuk will be there as well, and the other can run the mission, which should just be a normal exploratory scan, some nebula, etc., come back. But when is it ever that simple? But anyway, it's about 2 days away from here, so any emergency response is going to be impossible. But if one of you wants to do that, go out there and scan some stuff, the other one wants to stay here and help with the diplomacy, you're more than welcome to. Or you both can go out. And so out of character, this is where I let you, Osprey, and Zed, Mac, and Edgeford decide what you guys want to do. Do you want one of you to stay? Do you want both of you to go? How do you want to do it?
What are your thoughts, Mac?
He goes, you can stay if you want. Either way, I can easily take the ship to check it out. Or unless you want to come with us, Captain. And
Osprey will have a slight sort of witticism moment and say something along the lines of, I cannot adequately command a ship light years away. He'll chuckle slightly. Say, I should remain aboard Legion, where that is possible. I am, however, as I said, perfectly keen to facilitate these negotiations as well, and any other conversations with other ships that may come in. And so, with appropriate communication on secure channels, I'm sure we can arrange visits, returning to the station periodically to assist.
yeah, you did miss out on the Lazaroth.
Admiral Haybear
Out of character, not quite.
It's just the name of the entity that they discovered the last game. But the Admiral says to Commander Zed, considering your expertise with the infamous allegiance and other beings such that he has controlled, you might be the one who is more adequate for this talk, Commander. But if you wish to go on the mission with your captain, and I completely understand.
Captain, I can stay here and you can take the ship.
I think that is a discussion that we will have in private, but I will take your note seriously.
Peck, did you send a copy of the request to the Admiral regarding Cadet Azid or Ensign Azid, or no?
No, sir. I was following chain of command, and I was hoping that the captain would present that for me, sir.
All right. Sorry.
Out of character, that's the other thing that I mentioned to the Admiral. Like, I also want to discuss something else with you.
Well, go ahead.
So he's going to be mentioning that before he leaves the room.
Yeah. So, I want to try to figure out how to do this simply, because the end result is going to be yes, and unless something happens, the end result's going to be yes. But so I don't want to spend like 20 minutes doing it if it's just going to end up where we already know it's going to be. Is there any questions or anything that you specifically want to tell the Admiral? However, during that potential role play that would be important.
No, all Osprey would do is say, here's the suggestion, I've gone through it, I endorse it, it would be good for the more talented, freshly appointed officers. Yeah, and I'm happy to take them aboard.
And Commander Zed is staying, and Captain Osprey is going. Is that the correct order?
I think, well, out of character, so because it'll be way quicker if it's out of character. What is Lasco Zed's diplomatic ability like?
I think. Let me look at the character sheet. Well, upbringing, diplomacy, and politics, so that's good. Presence is 10.
Yeah.
Not bad. Command is 5. Composure, focus. Diplomacy, focus.
Okay.
I think Mac's good.
Okay.
Let me check talents real quick though, because I don't remember what talents. Orb experience, technical. You got a lot of technical stuff. I think because you're a commander, you should probably, when you get a milestone, spend that to change that.
That's what I was planning to do. But I haven't received it. Oh yeah, I do have a milestone, so I'll do that at the end of the.
Well, I think that milestone is for focus. I think normal milestones are for focuses and spotlights are for talents. But I think after this session, you'll probably get a spotlight, you and Osprey, honestly. And that's, again, I apologize to you guys that are kind of sitting to the side. I don't mean for that to happen. I'm wrapping this up right now because unless there's any questions that you guys have, we're gonna jump ahead a week.
No questions.
No.
If the admiral wants to split and one on base, one on ship, perfectly happy in character and out of character for it to be that way.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm happy as well.
So Zed stays, Osprey goes. Got it. All right. So 1 week later, unless anybody who's on the starbase doing shore leave wants to have a specific conversation or role play or whatever, if not, then we're gonna jump ahead 1 week. Peck is returned from Zalda all refreshed. And the other two, Neelan and Carr and Zukov, the three of you guys are back on the Legion in deep space, in the Shackleton Expanse. So if I don't hear any opposition, I'm going to move you guys to the map. Alright. Let's see. It's about a week later, maybe a little more. Start at 79007.3. You guys have received word from Starbase 233 that your missing crew members, minus 2 of them, are returned. Most of them have their limbs, all of their limbs. Almost all of them have their mental state intact. But none of them will be serving on your ship anytime soon. Like
everyone to medical, everyone to counseling.
Yeah,
For
a while. Like, yeah. So basically, just to give you an idea, because you guys would have an idea of like what they went through just based on either rumors or like medical reports, security reports, stuff like that. Once the Marine squad that was there to rescue the captured squad got to the base, it was going through like it was kind of like, I haven't really played the game Doom. But basically that's what happened. They basically went into a meat grinder of the worst kinds of people, because it's a prison colony, and the worst kind of monsters, and they did their best to rescue, but eventually they got caught, captured, or killed. So yeah, they're not coming back anytime soon.
Well, Osprey's debriefed plenty of people who've been tortured before now, so he knows. He knows how bad this can be.
I don't know if listening to Osprey's meetings or soliloquies counts as torture, but okay. All right.
That'll be a vacation.
So the Legion is exploring the edge of the explored space. So you guys are, let's say, over here. Unless you want to go south. Either way, it's not going to matter a whole lot. Because you're just exploring empty space. This may come as a shock, but the Shackleton Expanse is not orange. It's just space. It's not a giant orange nebula. I don't know why, but some GMs out there basically say if you look outside, you just see a giant orange nebula. I'm like, no, it's just space. It's just space that's unexplored, and that's the way that Modifius had to tell you that it was a whole different region. But it's just space. It's been a week and 2 days. You guys are out at the frontier of explored space. Haven't discovered a single thing. Does anybody run a roll any scans?
Constantly, all the time.
I'm going to guess Neelan and... Ops isn't here, but yeah, Neelan.
Yep.
Alright, so just roll reason and science. Let's see. What should the difficulty be? I'm gonna say for now it's just a 1. May change later though.
Alright, just give me a second.
No problem. While you're doing that, I will say that on the bridge of the Legion, is, let's see, Cadet Azid, or Ensign Azid. He is learning.
I got a 5 and a 7.
Nice. So you guys got 2 momentum, so go ahead and give yourself another momentum. As far as the scan goes, you detect, like, maybe there's a star out there, like on the, like several light years away, but nothing in the vicinity that you can detect. Where do you want Ensign Azid seated? Whoever's in charge. I think it's Captain Osprey. I'll move him over. Captain Osprey, you there?
Oh yeah, I'm there. I thought so. I thought that question was directed to Azid.
Why would I ask the NPC where he wants to be?
Sorry. Okay. In that case, he can be down at the ops post.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it seems open.
Yeah. So yeah, he's doing op stuff, which, to be fair, generally speaking, requires a decent level of command skill. You've got to be able to allocate resources. You've got to be able to communicate with people efficiently. Like, and as far as you can tell, just from your position at the captain's chair, he's doing a pretty damn good job. Meanwhile, I'm gonna assume Lieutenant Peck is either studying or working in sickbay.
That's correct.
Fair to say? All right. Well, a certain individual, a certain Trill psychologist, is conducting his final evaluation of your character, of Lieutenant Peck, on this venture. His name is Kohler Nell. You may have heard of him.
Yes.
He is kind of just standing by, like, he's not trying to be in the way, but he's just standing maybe 10 feet away, holding a data pad, typing at it every once in a while. Clearly, it may be an attempt to make you nervous. You don't know, but he is definitely taking notes. He doesn't seem. He's pretty kind and everything, but he's not overly, like, jovial, like some psychologists, thank God. But he's yeah. What do you say anything to him, or?
Yeah, I say. So, is this a smoother ride than the last time we've met?
He chuckles. Well, this ship is Sovereign class, which is a decent ship, so I would have to say, at the very least, it's not worse.
The Type 3 shuttle? And Peck just starts laughing.
He chuckles. I don't think I actually gave him a token. Oh well. What is Lieutenant Carr up to? On the bridge or engineering? Uh-oh. Did we lose Master Kriebel? We may have. Alright. We will jump back to... Let's see. I actually need Carr to roll something for me. Well, when she gets back, we'll just have her roll it. Basically, Lieutenant Carr is conducting a diagnostic of some EPS conduits. Back on the starbase, let's see, where is the right? There it is. A bunch of people, we're just gonna get rid of them. Who else? He's not there. I mean, all of these people aren't there, but I'm not gonna remove all of them. That would take too long. Plus, we need some people to just hang out. Anyway. Admiral Hebert, General Shamuk, and Admiral Sakima with Commander Zed are standing at attention in the promenade with a Marine honor guard awaiting the Egrogoi delegation. Who was that? What happened? What I miss? Someone said something.
You still hear me okay?
Oh, we hear you now.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
better.
So, you're on the bridge? Okay. I'm just read your thing. But yeah, go ahead and roll control engineering to run that diagnostic on the. I guess you can roll insight or reason as well. Any of those three is fine on the EPS grid. And while you're doing that, I'll finish, and you get a success. Yeah, everything looks fine. Basically, let's see. Zed. You guys are kind of just standing there. There's a Marine, like I said, honor guard. Two individuals appear in kind of like a shimmering light. You're not really sure if, what kind of teleportation they have. But I am going to hopefully, I will make their images visible to you, and then I'll move their character sheet somewhere for you guys to find, because, well, there's a reason I'm doing that instead of moving their token, because their token's something else. So if you look in the NPCs folder, you will see somebody called Baraka and Kalmia. Their first names are unimportant, but those, let me know if you cannot see their images, because that's the important bit. That is what they look like. Baraka is very strange looking. Carries some kind of bird-like staff. And in addition to that image that you see, I'm going to say you could see green, what looks to be a green electricity in his hair, or if that's hair, I have no idea, but along some of his body and his clothes. It's a minute amount. It's not like a whole lot. You could barely see it. And the other individual has like fiery white hair, pointed ears, and wings sticking out of her back. And they are just standing there, and they are looking around, not saying a thing. How does Commander Lasco Zed react? Also, are you able to see the image? Mac, you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. He's like, that's not the most unusual thing I have ever seen.
Do you say that, or do you think that?
He thinks that.
Okay. So, Admiral Hebert steps forward and says, "Greetings, Egrogoi delegation. We are ready. If you would step this way." And you guys head down a corridor towards the same room that you were in before. I'm just going to move you over there. The Klingon and the Romulan also follow. And everyone sits down, except for the two Egrogoi. They kind of stand maybe 10 feet away from you guys. They just kind of stare. They don't blink. After a few seconds of uncomfortable silence, the one that has been informed of you guys that is called Baraka says, in a very deep voice, like deeper than the Klingons, think like a Gould from SG-1, like that reverb kind of deepness. He says, and I'm not going to try to emulate that, but he says, "We are here to discuss one thing and one thing only. Let us begin." And Admiral Hebert looks over to Commander Zed and says, "This officer has been in another universe where he did battle with the infamous Allegiance, who he claims was able to subdue various beings such as yourself." And she kind of waits for Commander Zed to elaborate on that. You there, Matt?
Yes, he goes, there is technology that can actually, from multiple different universes, to subdue like beings like yous. They usually conquer, enslave, and replicate the technology into other universes, such as the one we're in. Thus, I haven't been able to get my hands on any of this technology. It's only rumors say that there is technology, and I believe there is. We've been told that I've been told that there are some Qs that have literally sided with
The
the
woman Kalmia says in a hissing voice, "The Q are no threat to us."
well, it could be scary that one of yous could end up on their side.
That is the perfect moment to switch back to the Legion. At Ops, Ensign Azid says, "Captain, I'm picking up a distress call. Bearing 392 Mark 7. It's coming from some kind of... It's too far away to get an accurate scan, sir."
Put it through and give me an estimation on distance.
There is kind of a crackling effect over the speakers that you would normally hear, words coming from the distress call. And then all of a sudden, the distress call just ends, like after a second. He says, It for some reason, sir, it's overloading our systems. It would not go through completely. I was forced to deactivate it before it completely shut down the computer core."
I understand. Communications, do your best to unscramble that. Coordinate with the science team. And then he'll carry on.
I was just going to say, Ops says, "Distance is about 20 minutes out, sir. We could be there at maximum warp in 20 minutes.
Then, of course, but do not yet engage.
Aye, sir."
Signal our 2 cooperating ships to apprise them of the distress call and our changing course.
I really did forget all about those 2. Let me add them to the map. All right. So yeah, the communications officer says, "Yes, sir. The what was the name of the ship? The Tochurg and the Avumo are ready and standing by."
Okay. Very good. Tell them that we will be in half-hourly contact. If for whatever reason we are unable to make half-hourly contact, they are to assume that we have also entered into distress. Then, thank you.
I just said yes, sir.
Then turned.
Sorry.
He'll then turn to Helm and say, "Helm, the course has been laid in. Engage. When we are about to translate back into conventional or come out of warp, when we're about to come out of faster than light travel, ensure that we do so with our shields up and at yellow alert."
Yes, sir. Neelan, would you like to roll another scan, please? This is going to be a difficulty 5 roll. So you need 5 successes, which are impossible with just 2 dice. However, you can... I believe you guys have...
2 momentum.
Yeah, you have 2 momentum. So I'm going to make this a scaled roll. So as long as you get 3 successes, I'll give you some information. But to get the complete picture, you need to get 5. So you do have some momentum if you want to buy dice. You could also give me threat, or you could use a determination to get an automatic success. An automatic critical success, sorry.
I'll use a determination.
Okay. What value are you calling for?
Okay, hold on a second.
Yep, no problem.
I bury myself in work.
You said you bury yourself in work?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, you work your ass off, and you're going to get 2 successes. So go ahead, and if you want to spend momentum to get more dice, you still can. But roll however many dice you feel you need.
All right. Yeah, let me buy another dice.
Okay, so down 1 momentum.
And so I get to roll 3 times, right?
Just roll. Well, you can roll 1 dice 3 times. You can roll 3 dice 1 time, as long as it's 3 dice.
7 and a 4.
Okay, so that's 2 successes
And
at
a
least.
3.
All right, 3 successes plus your critical success is 5 successes. So you get a lot of information. You change this. Yeah, that's better. So you detect some sort of organic pod that is definitely damaged and is holding 2 individuals in it, and one of them is human. And then as soon as you get this information, your scan it kind of becomes like staticky, like there's some kind of interference coming from the pod. But that's what you get, and it is at this point now it's about 15 minutes out.
Captain, I've got some information to you. I'm going to shoot it to your console.
Okay. The captain will look at that, and then he will tap his personal communicator and open a channel to all senior staff simultaneously. And we'll say, "This is the captain to all senior staff. We are answering a hail, and we'll shortly be entering a distress hail. We'll shortly be entering yellow alert. I am sending you all the information that has just been passed to me about the pod-like object, which I can only assume is an organic equivalent to a ship, and the 2 life signs, one seemingly human, that appear to be distressed inside. There have been 2 moments where our sensors have in some way been tragically overwhelmed, apparently threatening the computer core on the first occasion. As a result of which, sensor data is going to be extraordinarily limited. I imagine a lot of our investigation will have to be physical. Please be at your stations in, and he'll look at his watch, 12 minutes, so you are in position ahead of reversion."
All right. So, do you guys want to? I have to take care of something for 10 minutes. Do you guys want to? Who here has to leave in 30 minutes for sure?
I'm good.
Okay, because I don't want to.
Yeah, I
I'm
can't.
good.
Yeah, I can't hang around too long this time because I have to be up super early to walk to work.
Yeah, I got you. All right, so then I'll just
Yeah.
continue this, and hopefully I won't be bothered by them, but I'm pretty sure I will. But I'll just tell them that to wait. But anyway, so so everyone's ready. Did you send that message to the other 2 ships as well, or just
I would have sent it to, assuming that we don't have some kind of like communication blackout thing. Then yeah, I will have sent the distress information that we got to the other 2 ships, so they know what we know if they come to rescue us.
Okay. So we're gonna jump back to the starbase real quick as you are moving into unexplored territory to rescue these individuals. All right. So Kalmia says, the female of the 2 says, the Egregoi choir requires more from the Federation. We will annihilate the infamous allegiance and all species they control. And just to put this out there, that does mean genocide of the Dominion, the Breen, and pretty much half the species in the Alpha Quadrant. How does Lasco react?
He's like, he's like, he's like thinking in his head, oh shit. Then he's looking at the Admiral to say what she says.
The Admiral is going to say, we're not going to attempt a genocide of the entire species. And Baraka kind of slams his foot. Like, it's weird because he raises his foot like less than a millimeter. Like, you can barely see his leg move, but like the whole ground just shakes. And he says, you will do this. This is not a request. In addition, he looks over at Telasco Zed and then Admiral Haybear, and he says, in addition, we require the entirety of the Shackleton Expanse. And the Klingon gets up angrily and says, that's not gonna happen. It is ours to explore. We were here first. Does Lasco Zed want to say anything at this point?
He's listening.
Okay. They...
what the heck?
Sorry, go ahead.
He's thinking, what the heck?
The female said, the Kalmia says, I apologize for my colleague, but you do not understand. Recently we have learned that the Infamous Allegiance has developed some sort of engineering that can harness our abilities and use them for himself. Total eradication is the only option.
Because now you see, Admiral, that this is a problem not just for us, but for I know we shouldn't go into extermination. He looks at them, but we have to come together and stand in unity instead of being divided now more than ever.
Okay, make 2 checks. Insight command on the 2 Ikergoi. That is going to be a difficulty 3. And then presence command to kind of convince the Admiral. And I'm not sure if you're trying to convince her to genocide everybody or just that they need to come to some kind of compromise. But basically a presence command difficulty 1 to kind of get everyone on the same page.
So what's the insight command? What difficulty is it? 3?
3, yep.
Okay.
And let me know what you get, because I'm doing stuff.
Okay, I'll give you 1 threat to do that. I got 4 for the insight command.
Okay. So you get a momentum. And you see when she tells you guys what happens, what happened regarding the Infamous Allegiance using their abilities, Baraka kind of turns slightly to glare at her as if she wasn't supposed to tell you that, but then continues glaring forward. He's especially glaring at the Klingon. And now presence and command difficulty 1.
I'm going to use that 1 momentum that I collected for us.
Okay. Makes sense. Ooh. Do y'all have any momentum left?
Yeah, we have 1. So.
Can I re-roll that?
Sure.
Yeah, we got 1. Yep. You consume it and do the re-roll. Okay.
So you get your 1. it hasn't really, you haven't really made an impact on the Egregore as far as one way or the other, but the Admiral, although kind of surprised at your statement, is definitely understands that you guys are treading lightly on treading water here with these creatures, these beings, and that any they don't seem like, okay, Kalmia appears to be more of the calm one, kind of methodical. Baraka seems to be very more irritable, but they also seem like very logical beings, at least as far as you could tell. So it doesn't seem like anything anyone's saying is going to just make them go into a rage and kill people. But you do know
he's treading.
Yeah, you're treading light.
Yeah,
You gotta tread lightly.
Yeah, he's trying to dance around it to try and get the right outcome, not to fuck everything up.
Yeah. Alright, so we're gonna jump back to the bridge. Alright, so you guys have entered the unexplored part of the expanse. You discover the pod. Again, now that you're closer, your sensors do tell you that it is an organic pod. It has a human inside and a creature that your sensors are just refuse to identify. Like, whenever you scan it, the sensors say, basically unknown life form. And then you try to like just get a basic understanding of it. Like, is it carbon based? And it's like, I have no idea, and it doesn't tell you anything. What do you want to do?
Two immediate questions, and these may be for sensors to answer. What is its situation regarding shields and internal atmosphere?
It doesn't have any shields. Its internal atmosphere is weakening. It'll probably be completely... you could tell that it's more or less completely used up already, and that they're basically just using leftover stale air at this point. So if you don't rescue them, they'll probably be dead in about 10-20 minutes.
But crucially, it's Earth-like air.
As far as your sensors tell you, it's oxygen, all the stuff for the human to be able to, live with.
Okay. Osprey will tap his communicator and say, "Captain to medical."
I'll let Peck answer that. If Peck wants to. Surgeon Wren can if Peck is unavailable. Alright, well, Surgeon Wren says, yes, Captain?
Are you prepared to receive an emergency transport?
Hello.
Sorry, there was a joke where I was on pause intentionally to act like I wasn't, there was a moment where no one was able to answer the phone. I am so sorry. I didn't realize how that looked on stream.
But yeah, okay, does Peck eventually answer?
Yes.
Okay, alright. Are you prepared to receive 2 emergency transports? Please also ensure that you are able to shield both of those people when they arrive, in case they should be hostile.
Yes, sir. I'm perfectly capable of doing that, sir.
Very well. Stand by. And then he'll carry on.
Transporting them out of the pod into sickbay, into a stasis field, I'm assuming?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Gotcha. Alright. Then I'm going to move you guys there. Alright, so... I'm gonna need somebody to roll control engineering to do the transport. Difficulty 2. I can just have an NPC if you want.
Car can do it.
I can do it.
Control engineering.
Car is our chief engineer.
I've got an 11 and a 5. I don't know what your skills are, but if they're better, you can do it.
A 12 and a 2.
Toss up.
11.5 is better.
Yeah, Carl will be better.
Alright, so you successfully transport him over with a momentum you gain. I'm going to put their images on the screen for you. They appear in the... Is there a specific bed that you want them in? Or can I just put them anywhere? Oh, let me get rid of that. She's not there. If not, then I'll just put them in a bed. I'm going to say that this is... Oh yeah, he's gone too. I'm going to say that this is the stasis area. Let's see. So the first person, the human, Dren clone. Not that that wasn't super unexpected, but he's lying there, barely conscious, got blood dripping from his temple. Definitely not a threat at the moment. He has a jacket, which I'm going to go ahead and tell you has stuff in it. So if you want to figure what that is, you may. The other individual that appears looks like this. Wrong one. I knew I was going to do that. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. Looks roughly like that, kind of scaly, reptilian skin mostly, with like a human-looking face, but it's blue. Do you want them in
a quick study because I have no idea what that is.
Do you want them in the same facility or in separate ones?
Ideally separate, but capable of shielding, I'm guessing.
I'll put that one there. And like I said, if you want them in a different location, you're free to. But once stuff starts happening, don't be like, "Oh, I wanted them in this other one." No, wherever they are, they are. So if you want them somewhere else, now's the time to put them somewhere else. But
I should butt out. It's Peck's medical bay.
Yeah. So although Dren is barely conscious, he is conscious. Again, you can check his stuff if you want or beam it out. The female is lying on the bed, assuming you beam her onto a bed, and her eyes are closed, and both of them have plasma burns all over them. What do you do?
Goodness, this is the what is it called, the blind choice, the Sophie's Choice situation.
I mean, sure. You start with a scan.
Right, so,
that would probably help.
Alright, what should I roll for the scan?
Reason and medicine. Difficulty is going to be scaled, so as long as you get one success, you'll get something.
Would emergency medicine count as a focus?
Yes. So you have 3 successes. You don't get any momentum. Are you scanning one or both? Like at the same time?
Both, just to see who should I treat first.
Alright, so you scan him. He is like on the verge of like he's barely conscious, but like he needs oxygen. Like he needs your basic stuff that someone needs when they've been oxygen deprived, and plasma burns. So he needs like skin grafts probably. Your typical, like if you just leave him there, he'll probably die eventually. But as long as you do something medical related, he'll probably survive. This one, the scans tell you... Sorry, go ahead.
So I tell this guy over here to just give him trioxin and dermal regenerator? And then keep him in a biobed for 2 hours.
Why is your... Like, whenever I hear you, you're super fast and crackly. Do you know why that is?
I don't know. Why?
Like, it's...
Caffeine?
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it's sped up.
What it sounds like is something that I was having a problem with a moment ago, as in a few days ago. The crackle came in very suddenly, which means you probably knocked something. Like there's a loose connect somewhere.
Sorry, can you... so you wanted her to...
I currently am...
Sorry, go ahead.
To delegate to the individual right here, who I don't know whether or not is a science, medical, or security officer, to administer triox
to
the
human.
dermal regenerator, and to watch him for the next 2 hours.
Okay. To the human, I'm assuming. Okay.
Correct.
So she lowers the force field, puts it back up, goes inside, does what you say. No roll is needed. And when you scan the other alien, the scanner basically tells you unknown life form, unable to figure any, like you're not even reading carbon-based life form, like you're not reading anything.
Thank God, Peck is a quick study.
And let me just really quick deal with Car's roll. So you rolled reason engineering to do something with transporters. Oh, I thought you were doing something with the comm system. Well, you need to do 3 things really. You need to do those 2 things, and then you also need to run a diagnostic on the EPS conduits, because that's what what you're supposed to do earlier, but I don't know if you did or not. But the transporter seems to be fine. So you guys could have 3 momentum for the transporter. If that's what that's for.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you roll for the comms thing too, or?
I have not technically rolled for comms. That was more of a joke, but I can still do it.
Actually, you know what?
Because he probably would do it anyway.
Well,
and look, I just got us
yeah.
more momentum.
Well, you're not getting momentum from the comms roll because it's basically inconclusive. It says that's it got a distress call come in, and then like it's kind of doing the sensors the comms equivalent of unknown life form, but with the comms. Like it's like we have no idea what frequency it came in on, but it came in. We don't know who said it, but someone said something. Like it's not really giving you any information on the comms earlier, but the comms work perfectly fine. Like the ship's comms work fine. It's just that one distress call, it just doesn't understand what happened. So Dr. Peck, what do you want to do next?
Well, she appears to be humanoid, correct?
Yes.
If there's anything I know about my current studies, is that humanoids tend to have 2 things conjoined with one another. Humanoids tend to combine their cardio and pulmonary systems together. I'd like to assess her breathing and/or heartbeat.
So you're just watching her from the other side of the force field?
No, I am in there, like literally, like hands-on, like assessing her.
Okay. So as soon as you walk in, and if you touch her wrist to check her pulse, her eyes open, and then she says in a normal humanoid-sounding voice, nothing weird about it, please state your purpose.
I am assessing any injury that you may have had.
She says, I am going to...
And then Jonah says, as calmly as possible, I mean you no harm. I am only attempting to assess and treat any injury you may have.
She says, I appreciate your concern. I'm going to sit up now. And as she sits up, the plasma burns all over her face and bodies begin to dissolve and vanish. And then she says, I am fine. Thank you.
I imagine she's trying to walk off.
No, she's just sitting there. She's not posing any threat at the moment.
Just Baines just flips open her tricorder and she says, can you stay seated for a while I examine this?
Yes. She looks over slightly and looks into the other stasis chamber and says, is Orca all right?
I beg your pardon?
His name is Dren 222, but he likes to be called the Orca. Is he all right?
So, would a recent graduate from Starfleet, a recent joined Trill, understand what a Dren is?
Oh yeah, you guys learned this in the academy and in every ship you've been on. Like, you guys were at war with them for a while. Like, you would know them just as much as you would know the Dominion or the Borg. Basically, as far as him being okay, I mean, other than traditional, like, asphyxiation and head trauma and some plasma burns, he'll probably live as long as he's being treated.
So, to quickly end the scene, Peck raises one finger, walks out of the force field, and she says, excuse me one moment, security! And that's the end of the scene.
Okay. I think that's a good place to stop. So, are you saying security for the Dren clone or because of her?
The Dren clone.
Okay. So, yeah, you probably would have noticed him. I mean, his face is everywhere. Like, it wanted posters, and they all look the same. So, like, as soon as he came...
Yeah, but it's probably got, burned the fuck up.
No, his face has just got some blood on it. It's his body is is burnt. But we'll say that you basically like silently put in like, hey, security, and then once she actually confirmed that he was a Dread clone, then you're like, security. At this point, security does walk in, and that's when Orca kind of groans. God, so loud. Please let me just take a nap. And then he kind of passes out. And that's where we're gonna end. It's going to be kind of hard to do this without your character now, I just realized, but I do have a way of writing Car and Peck out if need be for next episode, so just let me know if you can or cannot make it for sure.
Also, just roll. My character is already pre-made, just roll as needed.
I don't NPC player characters, unless a player pisses me off, or unless it's just no other way to do it, I don't NPC player characters, but yeah, you won't have to worry about that. I will handle that. But anyway, this is going to be a two-parter, obviously. I kind of more or less planned for it to be that way, so it's fine. But if anyone has any questions that I can actually answer quickly before I have to go,